Okay, so today we are talking about section 2, which is graphing y equals mx plus b. So this is something you looked at a little bit yesterday with your calculator, but now you're going to learn to do it by hand. So things we want to do to graph is either figure out if it's a constant increase or a constant decrease. If it's increasing, the slope should be positive, which means in your slope you are going to go up and then to the right, or you are going to go down and to the left. And the reason you can go down and to the left is because that would be a negative, negative, which would cancel each other out to be a positive. So constant increase to graph the slope, you're going to go up and to the right, or you could go down and to the left. To graph a constant decrease where your slope is negative, you are going to go down and right, or you could go up and left. So either way, in this case, you would have one negative. The down would be negative and the right would be positive, or the up would be positive and the left would be negative. So either way, you're going to graph one negative direction for a decrease. So if I look at the first example, y equals negative 3x plus 1, I know that the number at the end is my y-intercept, and that is what I'm going to graph first. So I'm going to go up to 1, and I'm going to put a point, and then I know that my slope is negative 3. Now, sometimes it's easier to have a fraction, so I could put negative 3 over 1 if that helps. And because it's negative, I know it's a decrease, so I'm going to go down. From this point, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. I could have also started at my point always and gone up 3 and to the left 1. Okay, so negatives should turn out negative. So always keep that in mind. A negative slope up there means your line is going to be going down. Okay, if for some reason when you connect your points and it is positive, then flip it around because you did something backwards. Okay, so example B is 2x minus 3y equals 9. Now that's a little trickier to figure out because it is not in y-intercept form. So I would like to do that. So I want to get y by itself so it looks like slope-intercept form. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 2x from each side. So careful with your negatives. That leaves me with negative 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 9. Now to get y by itself, I'll divide each side by negative 3, and I'm going to divide all 3 parts by negative 3. So that's going to give me y equals 2/3 x minus 3. So now I can see that my y-intercept is negative 3. That's the number at the end always. So I'm going to go down negative 3 and put my first point. Then I know that my slope over here is a 2/3. That's positive. So from my y-intercept, make sure you're always starting right there. I'm going to go up 2 and then to the right 3. Okay, so I went up and to the right. I could have also gone from my point down 2 and to the left 3 and put another point, because down and left would be a double negative, so that it would still make it a positive. Okay, so key ideas here, always put your y-intercept up first and then make your slope from that point. I can look at example C. Example C has a slope of something. Well, I don't have any x here, so I could really write plus 0x to help me. So then I would know that my slope is 0 and my y-intercept is negative 2. So I can go down negative 2, and a slope of 0 means up 0 over 0, or you could remember that y equals a number just gives you a horizontal line at negative 2. So that had a slope of 0 and a y-intercept of negative 2. Example D is an x equals, so that's totally different. So hopefully you remember at this point that x equals 4 is a vertical line over at 4. Okay, now what is the slope of a vertical line? Undefined. Okay, how I remember that? It goes up so fast, okay, that I can't define it. Okay, so it's so steep you can't define it, so it's undefined. And the y-intercept here, you need to say none. Okay, because it does not go through 0. Okay, so you cannot say 0. You could say none, or you could say does not exist if you prefer, but not a 0. Okay, So let's go ahead and actually flip this around and see if we can write some equations. So example F wants us to write the equation of a line with a slope of 2 that passes through 0, 7. So a little bit like yesterday's lesson, hopefully you realize that 0, 7 is your y-intercept. So 7 is my y-intercept, and my slope is 2. So y equals mx plus b. M is my slope, which is 2x plus 7, because my y-intercept is 7. Make sure that you remember the x part of that. Some of you will go a little quick and just go 2 plus 7. Okay, that's 9. So it's 2x plus 7. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, letter F says write an equation of the vertical line through the point 1, 7. Well, if you remember from graphing, a vertical line is always an x equals, and ordered pairs are x comma y. So this will give me x equals 1. Okay, so that's a little different. Vertical lines and horizontal lines are the exception to the y equals mx plus b rule. Example G, write the equation of a line that does not cross the x-axis. So if it doesn't cross the x-axis, okay, that means it's a horizontal line. And a horizontal line is a y equals, so again, here's my xy, so y equals -8. Okay. So now if we take a look at example H, now we're getting a little trickier because now it wants to know the slope of the line parallel, okay? And if you look at that box on the top right corner of this page, it says parallel lines have the same slope. So the same slope to this line would be 2/3. Okay, so if they both have the same slope, they'll be parallel. They probably just have different y-intercepts. So this graph, the 2/3 x plus 1, would look something like this. A parallel line would have the same slope, but probably down here with a different y-intercept. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, though, are going to be the opposite reciprocal. So first of all, the opposite of positive 2/3 is negative, and the reciprocal means I need to flip it. So that makes my slope a -3/2, because that means a perpendicular would be like this dotted line through here. So you'd have to flip it and make it the opposite sign. Example I asks us to kind of figure that out. This time it tells us we'll have a y-intercept of 4, and it's going to be parallel to 5x plus 3y equals 6. So the first thing I need to know is what is the slope of that line? It would be nice if it was in slope-intercept form, so we're going to do that. So again, we'll subtract 5x from each side. So we'll have 3y equals -5x plus 6. And then I'll divide each of the 3 parts by 3, so I can get y all by itself. So y equals -5/3 x plus 2. Okay, so that's this line right here. Okay, so now I know the m of this one is -5/3. I'm writing a different line that is parallel. Parallel means the same. So I know my slope is also a -5/3. And it told me right here that I have a y-intercept of 4, so then I'll add 4. So a parallel line to that is -5/3 x plus 4, because it told me it's going to have a y-intercept of 4. If this is kind of confusing to you, go ahead and graph that on your graphing calculators. You could graph this first equation over here, and then the second equation over here, see if they're parallel, okay? And if they're not, then I did something wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this one. Okay, so then let's take a look at J. This time it wants perpendicular. Perpendicular means opposite reciprocal. So we're going to need the opposite reciprocal of line number 1 over here. So again, I need to rewrite this in terms of y equals. So I'll subtract 4x from each side. So I've got -7y equals a -4x plus 14. Still need to get y by itself, so I'm going to divide all 3 parts by -7. So I'll have a y equals negative over negative cancels, so that'll make it a +4/7 x minus 2. So the slope of this line, line number 1, is 4/7. So the slope of my line, which will be line number 2 over here, is the opposite. So a -4/7, because that's positive. Sorry, my computer freaked out. So I'm going to have a negative, and then I'm going to flip it to make it 7 over 4x. So the opposite reciprocal, so change the sign is the opposite part, so I made it negative, and reciprocal means to flip it. So 4 sevens became 7 over 4. And then it wants a y-intercept of -2 right here. So then I have -2 at the end. Okay, again, if you wanted to graph these to see if it works, you could graph line number 1 and 2, and they would probably both meet at the y-axis, but they'd be perpendicular to each other, not parallel. So those are your notes for section 2.